Hey there, welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you amazingly delicious one-pot meals. If you don't know yet, I really love making one-pot meals just because they are very low mess and then they come together in very little time. So they are amazing recipes, especially kind of for this time of year. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's jump to my kitchen and start cooking. We're going to begin today by making this outstanding Parmesan chicken. So to begin, in my pan right here, I have about 2 tablespoons of hot olive oil. I added a pound of cubed chicken breast to that oil, and then I'm just seasoning it with a dash of Italian seasoning, garlic, and salt and pepper. Cook this chicken until it's 100% of the way cooked. Now that my chicken's completely cooked, I'm removing it to a separate plate and I'm going to cover this plate with aluminum foil and then set it to the side. So now to the pan that we just cooked the chicken in, I added a tablespoon of butter along with a tablespoon of minced garlic and a dash of crushed red pepper flakes. Once the butter melted down, I added in 1 cup of rinsed white rice, and my rice is uncooked, just to let you know, but I'm just going to cook this all together for a couple of minutes. Now that my rice has that beautiful brown color, I added 2 cups of chicken broth in. I'm going to let this simmer on my stove covered for about 8 minutes and then uncovered for an additional 5 to 10 minutes or until my rice is nice and tender. You might have to add a little bit more broth in while it's cooking if too much of the water evaporates. But now that my rice is tender, I added 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese in. I let the cheese melt down and then it is ready to serve. I served mine alongside of steamed peas, and then I sprinkled more Parmesan cheese over the top of the chicken. This meal is so good. It has so much flavor, and it's actually one of my little daughter's favorite all-time meals. Now we're making this super easy taco pasta. I really like making this meal when I'm in a rush and don't really know what I'm going to cook for dinner. So to my Dutch oven, I just added a pound of ground beef. I'm going to cook this ground beef until it is completely cooked through, and then once it was cooked through, I just removed any of the excess grease. Now is the time you are going to add in your 1 tablespoon of butter along with a tablespoon of minced garlic. Give this a really good stir to let the garlic become fragrant. Once it is fragrant, after about 30 seconds, add in 2 tablespoons of taco seasoning along with 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce and 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Give this another good stir to combine the ingredients. It's time to add our broths in, so I'm adding a cup of chicken broth and a cup of beef broth. I love adding the 2 different types of broth in for this recipe. And then I'm scraping all the bits off the bottom of my pan. All of those bits on the bottom of your pan actually have a lot of great flavor. And then I added a can of Rotel, a cup of milk, and then a 1/2 pound of these elbow pasta noodles in, or you could use shell noodles, whatever your preference is. And then I'm going to let this simmer on my stove covered for about 5 minutes and then uncovered for an additional 5 minutes. You do want to stir this very, very frequently though, just to ensure that the noodles don't stick to the bottom of your pan. But now that my noodles are tender, I'm adding a cup of shredded Monterey Jack cheese and a cup of shredded sharp cheddar cheese in. Give this another great stir, and then once the cheese melts down, it's ready to serve. You could top this meal with any of your favorite toppings, but what we like to do is just simple cherry tomato, sliced avocado, fresh lime, and cilantro. There you go. You have the easiest meal ever, and it's fantastic. I could make this lemon chicken orzo over and over again and never get tired of it. So to begin, in my Dutch oven, I have a tablespoon of hot olive oil, and then I added a pound of cubed chicken breast. I'm seasoning the chicken with plenty of salt and pepper, and I'm cooking it completely through. Once it is 100% of the way cooked through, I'm removing it to a separate plate and setting this plate to the side. To my same Dutch oven that I cooked the chicken in, I added an additional tablespoon of olive oil with 1 diced up white onion. Cook this onion until it is soft. It should take you about 3 to 5 minutes, I'd say. Now that it is soft, I added my 1 cup of orzo along with a tablespoon of minced garlic. Saute this together for about a minute. Of course, you will need some type of liquid, so I'm adding 2 1/4 cup of chicken broth in, stir this all together, and then let it simmer covered for about 5 minutes. I did stir it every couple of minutes while it was simmering to ensure the orzo doesn't stick, but after those 5 minutes of simmering, I added a pound of asparagus. I did cut my asparagus into smaller pieces, and then I'm going to place the lid back on top and let this simmer for an additional 5 to 7 minutes or until my orzo is tender. So here it is, my orzo is nice and tender and my asparagus is cooked. I'm going to be adding in about 2 cups of chopped fresh spinach with the cooked chicken. After my spinach wilted down, I added in the juice from 1 lemon along with 1/4 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. I gave this a good stir. Once the Parmesan was melted down, it was ready to serve. If you've never tried orzo before or you've never had anything like this, I definitely suggest it. I think you should give this recipe a shot. It has amazing flavor, and then I really love the uniqueness about it. This recipe is for all of my meatless meal friends out there. This sun-dried tomato creamy pasta is divine. I'm going to begin by just dicing up 1 onion into smaller pieces. Over to my Dutch oven, I'm adding a couple tablespoons of olive oil. If you don't have a Dutch oven, you could just use a large pot. Once my oil is hot, I'm adding in the onion that we just diced up, along with a tablespoon of minced garlic and 1/4 cup of these sun-dried tomatoes. After simmering on my stove for a few minutes, the onion is soft, so now I'm going to be adding in 2 tablespoons of tomato paste along with a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Stir this all together to let the tomato paste combine with the rest of the ingredients, and then you'll be adding in a can of petite diced tomatoes, or you could use regular diced tomatoes, whatever you prefer, and then 3 cups of chicken broth, 12 ounces of pasta. You could use any type of pasta you like, but I'm choosing to use this type of pasta. I find it at my local Smith's, the grocery store, and I really love it. So I'm giving this a good stir, and then I'm going to season it with a little salt and pepper. This is going to simmer covered for 5 minutes and then uncovered for an additional 5 minutes. I did stir it very frequently while it was simmering though, but here it is after the noodles are completely cooked. I'm adding 1/4 cup of cubed cream cheese in, and then 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese in. Once the cheese melts down, it's ready to serve. This definitely has to be by far one of my all-time favorite meatless meals, but I do want to mention, of course, if you love adding meat to your meals, you could add ground Italian sausage to this and it would be just as delicious. Now we're making a classic, this chicken fried rice. So to begin, I'm using my Instant Pot to cook my rice, but you could cook your rice any way you like cooking rice. I added 1.5 cups of rinsed white rice with 1.5 cups of water and a tablespoon of olive oil. All I have to do for my Instant Pot is put the lid on top, press the rice button, and then after my rice was finished cooking, I actually let it completely cool down. So now I'm going to dice up 1 onion and about 3 large carrots. The fried rice sauce for this recipe is very simple. All it is a tablespoon of fish sauce. If you don't care for fish sauce or don't have it on hand, you could definitely skip that part and it will still be delicious. A tablespoon of sugar, a dash of salt and pepper, and 1.5 tablespoons of low sodium soy sauce. Mix this together and then there you go. That is your fried rice sauce. To my pan on the stove, I have a tablespoon of hot olive oil in there. I'm cracking 2 eggs in, and then you are going to scramble these eggs up as if you normally would for scrambled eggs. And then once they are cooked, remove them to a separate plate and then set this plate to the side. To the same pan that we just cooked the eggs in, add an additional tablespoon of olive oil with the onion and the carrots that you diced up. Saute the onion and carrots together for a couple of minutes until they start to become soft. Now I'm adding in my tablespoon of minced garlic and ginger. Stir this together until the garlic and ginger are fragrant. And then you are going to be adding in a pound of cubed boneless, skinless chicken breast. And then you are going to cook this chicken until it is 100% of the way cooked through. With the rice that is now completely cooled down that we cooked up earlier in the Instant Pot, I'm adding it into our cooked chicken, and I'm going to let the rice saute in with the rest of the ingredients for about a minute or two. With the fried rice sauce that we made up earlier, I'm just pouring it all over the top, and I'm going to stir everything to combine. You want everything coated in that fried rice sauce. And then you are going to be adding in about a cup of frozen sweet peas and then the egg that we scrambled earlier. This is optional, but I do love adding in these pineapple trivets, about a fourth a cup of them. I just think it adds a great flavor to this recipe. I'm stirring everything together, and I'm going to let this cook for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then it's ready to serve. I really love making my family this fried rice because you could throw a bunch of veggies into this recipe, cook everything together, and then there you go. You have the easiest dinner to serve onto your table. I hope you found a meal for yourself, and I have plenty more videos like this on my channel, so make sure you're subscribed down below the video so you don't miss any more in the future. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.